would you honestly say that when you walked into this room today, you were afraid that white supremacy was going to kill you? I asked this to black people, to be honest. Are you afraid that a Klansman is going to come down the street on horseback and pick you up? I said that I could list 100 things the black community is suffering from today before I got to white supremacy, and yet the focus and the emphasis in the school system has been to brainwash us to believe that white people want to kill us around every single corner, and I think that that's a harmful ideology because it doesn't allow us to actually focus on the things that we're suffering from. You know, number one, I would say is father absence. We need to get our families back together. We have to stop letting the government raise us.
You're not allowed to see the obvious truth. The obvious truth that the black community is being destroyed by the Democrats, by the policies of the Democrats.
What?
Fathers should raise their own children and not the government.
Hi.
Hello, my question is a little bit of a different speed. Earlier today you mentioned Patricia Cullors or somebody from the BLM movement, and you said that her only qualifying factors for speaking about different things and issues was because she was black. And during the White House hearing about white supremacy, you was on that. And a question was asked whether white supremacy is a threat or not. And your only qualification to speaking on that was being black. So what do you say to people that say they're being a hypocrite?
Yeah, so I didn't say on this stage that Patricia's only qualification was being black. I said that people gave her tens of millions of dollars, had no idea where it was going to go, and were happy to do it because she was pirating. She just kept saying Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. It was stupid. They lost their money, bad investment. Oh well, too bad, so sad. Regarding qualifications to speak on what's harming black America, you just have to be able to examine actual statistics, right? Are you telling me, would you honestly say that when you walked into this room today, you were afraid that white supremacy was going to kill you? I asked this to black people, to be honest. Are you afraid that a Klansman is going to come down the street on horseback and pick you up? Be honest.
I'm personally not afraid.
Okay, so that's it. So when I was speaking at the congressional testimony, I was saying, my experience being black in America, I don't know any black people that are fearful to walk down the street because they think a Klansman is going to come get them, right? But I can list you tons of black people that grow up in poverty, that grow up in the hood, that grow up around gang culture, that are fearful. When you examine black on black crime rates, when I was just talking about illiteracy rates, I said that I could list 100 things the black community is suffering from today before I got to white supremacy, and yet the focus and the emphasis in the school system has been to brainwash us to believe that white people want to kill us around every single corner, and I think that that's a harmful ideology because it doesn't allow us to actually focus on the things that we're suffering from. You know, number one, I would say is father absence. We need to get our families back together. We have to stop letting the government raise us.
I do believe, I agree with some of the things you just said, but at the end of your point, you just mentioned a father absence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And studies are actually shows that black men who are actually in their home participate with their children more than any other race.
Yeah.
So
great.
So what you just said is a fallacy then?
No. I'm talking about when there's not a black father in the home, right? So every natural ill follows in the black community. So when you separate the black family, if you look at statistics between black families that are together and white families that are together, the poverty rate, I mean, they're both doing well. It's a 2-point difference between white and black families. When you remove and you break down the black family, it's unbelievable, right? It's a pathway to prison. It's a pathway to illiteracy. So I'm only talking about broken down black families. I'm not saying when the black family unit is together. That brings us back to the Winslows, Family Matters, and the greatest show that was ever on television. I do want to get to more people. Thank you so much for your question.
The first thing Candace tells us is that there are no black people that are afraid of the KKK, of the white supremacists, because they hardly exist. Only some deranged person is a follower of the KKK or a white supremacist, some, a couple of hundreds or out of millions of people. But the narrative is that we should be afraid. The greatest threat to America, according to Joe Biden, is white supremacy. Oh, everyone is a white supremacist nowadays. The problem with all these statements, like Joe Biden said, is that real white supremacists that maybe want to do harm to America and the rest of the world, they are not locatable, they are not findable, because we are looking for white supremacists in people that are not white supremacists. So the real white supremacists that maybe want to target certain groups of people, the real white supremacists will stay under the radar. We will not find them because we're looking for white supremacists, in this case, in the Trump Republican camp. like, hey, they oppose us, so let's find a way to portray them in a negative way. Let's call them white supremacists because they're not following our ways. And we want, as Democrats, we want to subdue the black population. We want to break down the black family. Hey, the Republicans are our enemies. You know what? The people, the normal people, will fall for the claim that their opponents will be white supremacists, and then they will vote for us. Or just name the Republicans white supremacists. Bam. You have power. You know, out of all things that is happening to the black family, it's an insult to talk about white supremacy. There are so many issues in the black community, black on black crime, poverty rates, the welfare state, the public schools, the father absence, and so many more things that destroys the black family. Those are still implemented. Those things are still spread among the black community. But we should not focus on that according to the Democrats, because that is what the Democrats are doing. They are destroying the black community. They are destroying America from within. But if you say that, then you are suddenly a white supremacist. Why? You're not allowed to see the obvious truth. The obvious truth that the black community is being destroyed by the Democrats, by the policies of the Democrats. This doesn't mean that any Democrat is a racist or a white supremacist or evil or whatever. No, that their policies destroy the black community, and overall the policies of the Democrats destroy America from within and eventually also worldwide, because if America is not stable, then the whole world will be in chaos. That's what we see nowadays. But if you want to restructure society, even restructure the whole world, you have to destroy certain countries from within. And in this case, America should be destroyed. Well, in my view, that's what the WEF is doing. They want to destroy America from within, destroy Europe from within, bring so many immigration issues into the West. The West is also Europe, of course, so that the population is not united and they will focus on all bad things, and there will be clashes between cultures, between people, between skin colors or whatever, and then the left can say, you see, so much racism is going on. The West, Europe and America is a racist society, and that's why we need to bring in more government, more handouts, more totalitarian regulations, etc., etc. It's so obvious. White supremacy is none of the main issues of the black community. But you have to ask yourself, why is that, white supremacy, the scapegoat of the Democrats? No black person is really afraid of the KKK. Is afraid of walking outside late at night and thinking, oh no, white supremacy will come and get me. I think nowadays the reverse is more the possibility, that white people are afraid of black people. And then you have to ask yourself if that is justified or not. And I think in some areas, maybe in some areas in Chicago, where there's a lot of crime, a lot of poverty, a lot of Democrats running the city, there it could be dangerous for white people walking down the street at night, late at night. You don't need to. But that's what the narrative is. People should be afraid, Oh, black people are so afraid of white people. Oh, why? You don't need to. Just as Candace is saying to us that, people are being brainwashed to feel and think in a certain way, that they should be so afraid of white supremacists, while everything else is messed up, families are broken, the education system is failing, people are in such poverty, the economic system is holding people down, families are not united, and so many more things. But they want us to think and believe that white supremacy is the biggest issue of America and maybe even Europe. If we see what is happening in Europe nowadays, that they want to adopt that narrative also in Europe. And the goal could be, what Candace is saying, is that they want to talk about white supremacy so we don't focus and don't see what the real issue is and where it comes from. That the policies of the Democrats are destroying America, and even maybe some Republicans also that allow it, or maybe, bring also bad policies. But mainly the issues in the big cities in America, they are run by Democrats. And they destroy with their policies the freedoms, the movements, the safety and the lives of everyone, but especially the black community. And Candace tells us that we should solve the family problems. The black family needs to be united again. The man needs to be back in house, leading the family, and not allowing the government to raise the children. Because what will happen then? The children will be used as part of the state. Well, that is fascism, by the way, but let's ignore that. Let's not talk about fascism, and that fits perfectly what the Democrats want. But if the fathers are not in the house and the mothers have to raise their own children by themselves, that works through the children. They will be damaged, they will be vulnerable. And you don't want that. You want the children to be safe. You want that the children in, for example, Chicago, don't shoot each other. Like 16 years old, maybe 18 years old, young men, they kill each other for nonsensical things. And the cities allow it in a way, or make it possible. Fathers should raise their own children and not the government, or else we would have a government that is like the fascists, like the Nazis, like the communists, all atheist, Gnostic religions. They want to rule, they want to run society, they want to rule over us. They want our children to be whatever they decide. And if you look at the LGBTQ community, if we see that there's a lot of conversion therapy when young boys and girls are being indoctrinated into that. You can call it a cult, but you're not allowed to say that because that's hateful or whatever, and they will flag your video and they will make life horrible for you. That's also what the fascists did, by the way. They made life impossible for you when you oppose them. But let's ignore that again. But we need to oppose the idea that the government needs to raise your children. Like the government is a sugar daddy of the family. The government will take care of you. And it was Ronald Reagan that said that one of the most fearful things that you can hear is that when the government tells you that help is on the way, when the government wants to help you, it will always lead to less freedom, more regulations, and the government, a select group of people, they will decide what you get, what your family, what your children will get, how they will be raised, what their rights are and what their duties are. And you don't want that. You will decide what your children will learn, what your children will be taught. It's not up to the government, unless we talk about some basic things like what is necessary in a country. But in the home, it's up to the parents. It's your children. They are your children. They are not from the government. Don't let the government or some people from the government decide that they want to raise your children and decide what your children will learn and what they will get. And at the end of this exchange, the young black man asked some clarifications towards Candace, and it was about the role of the black father in the family. And from research we know that the black father, when he is in the home, he is involved in the lives of their children, maybe even more than any other group in America. So black people, of course they can be good fathers. Like, it's insane to say that, but nowadays we have to say it because some people, and I think leftists, I think Democrats, they think that they are not real good fathers. But from research, it shows that they are more involved in the lives of their own children than any other group. But if we know that the black father is maybe the most involved in the life of his own children, then the most horrific thing you can do is have policies that will remove the black father from the family, so he can rule over the family as a government. And that is what the Democrats have done. And if you support the Democrats, then you support the breakdown of the black family and all that comes with it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found this video to be helpful and valuable. Like this video and share it with your friends and family. Subscribe to my channel and also put the notifications on. And I see you in the next video.